Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go through some of the rack modifications for the Ecto-1. Talk about some of the changes that I've made to the mock, or I'll run through the mock with you guys and then kind of show you some stuff that I'm upgrading and changing and making a little bit more realistic and per the prototype. So first things first, we're going to start off with how the rack is actually mounted to the car per the mock. You guys can see Linz is using these modified 1x2 plates with the round edges, and that's our first upgrade. And I've already kind of done this to both the Afterlife version and the original. Going from the actual car, it's square tubing that holds the racks in place. So I did away with the 1x2 plates that are the 1x2 plates that were on there, and used 1x1 plates, two of them stacked on top, so still the same height. And then I had to go and use some different tiles to fill in around those. You guys can kind of see per the mock, they're using 2x3 tiles, a couple 2x2s, and on my version now, you guys can see I changed to using 2x4 tiles there, a 1x6 there, a L-shaped, I guess that's technically like a 2x2 L shape, and then reusing the 2x2 squares that were up here, back here. So that right there upgrades that quite a bit because not only does it look better, but the holding points for this rack were only on those outer studs, so nothing was happening with the inner studs. So we didn't really need those anyway, and that kind of cleans it up and makes it look a little bit more prototypical. So that was our first change. And now we're going to go through some stuff on the rack. You guys can see I have some parts laid out here. I'll kind of go over that in a minute. But we'll kind of look at the racks side by side. So don't pay attention to the color change is not what we're talking about here. The actual placement of stuff and how things are looking is what we're talking about. You guys can see my sniffer is sitting in the same place, but we actually have some depth down in this little pocket. I'll show that off a little bit better in a minute. The flashing light on the front, we took it off of this big base, this bigger 2x2 circle base, and just did a 1x1 circular stud on that. Made that look a little bit cleaner. The one thing that I don't have on here is this box on the side. The mock has you putting it on the rack frame, and on the original version, that actually sits within the box and behind this front unit right here. And here you guys can see we're two studs into this unit, so we're not only moving it back two studs, we're moving it in a whole stud. This little thing right here, you guys can see I have it offset and further back. Up here you guys can kind of see it's kind of in the middle of a 4x6 area. So we not only moved it back, I think we moved it back a stud, and then we moved it over a stud. And then some of the details, like these grates are supposed to be a different piece, but I don't have what Linz is using in the mocks, so I'm just using these grate pieces as fillers for that. And on this one, we're not staggering them off the plates like that. They kind of don't like to stay in position too well like that. And with me changing and actually creating a void, a 2x2 void little pocket area here, You guys can see the sniffer has some more depth to it, and that allowed me to scooch those back. That held up a lot better. One of the bigger differences is the radar dish on the back. Like I talked about, this is the hard-mounted radar dish. It does not spin, but it looks the part better. It's closer to the rack. It's lower down. It's shifted over a whole stud like it should be, and just kind of fits in that area a lot better. You guys can see kind of the more Technic-built one that can rotate. Nothing wrong with that. It's very cool. Just for if you're picky about your detail and you want to be a little bit more prototypical, I'll show you guys the pieces used to do that. And you guys can kind of see just how far that sticks up and out. And it's not mounted directly in the center, but it is kind of centered up a little bit more. And then on this version, it's moved over a stud from where it currently is, and it's sitting significantly lower. So right there you guys can see a big difference right there. Color change that I did make from the mock itself was the dome stanchions right here. These were supposed to be done in white. On the mock it is done in black pieces, so I switched those out for white pieces because on the car that is actually painted white. Except for on the 1A that is actually black, and then the dome is completely repainted for black and yellow. So that's kind of it for the big changes. Oh, of course, I did rid of these gauges on the side here. Those are supposed to be little control units for each tank and not gauges. And I mimicked that on the other version here. Of course, these are kind of grayed out because they're supposed to be weathered, but on the, if you guys remember from the Frozen Empire version, I did those in black, nice shiny black. Used some of the small braided cord pieces that I had to kind of make some hoses and some lines in there, a little bit of detail. Tried to add as much detail as I could. But yeah, we'll go through on the computer here. I'll walk you guys through this, and I'll try to scroll through this somewhat slowly once we get up to it. That's just the light bar, and if you guys like the light bars better, like I said, this is a free mock on Rebrickable, super easy to find. It's from Lynn's, has the mock for the 1 and 1A, so, and they are free to download, so I would strongly suggest getting this mock if you want to do this. So you guys can kind of see how the base of it starts out. Even shows you a picture on the screen there of what the finished product is supposed to look like. And I'll just kind of scroll through. If you guys want to pause the video just to kind of see what parts you need, where they go, feel free. There we have some of the box build. Starting to build the white inner box. The location to attach the pipes. Some more of the box construction. There's how the pipes are actually attached. I do have a couple differences on that as well I'll go over. And like I said, if I'm going a little too fast, feel free to pause the video. I just kind of want to get you guys the whole rack itself if you're just interested in modifying your rack on the Lego build and you don't feel like redoing the entire car. This just kind of gives you a glimpse of what to use. I am no longer using that spinning pedestal piece to hold the sniffers because I want my sniffers to stay stiff, and I can still move them back and forth. They're not glued in place or hard mounted. They're just they're stiff and they don't move freely anymore. And you guys can kind of see these grid printed pieces. I don't have anything like that, and I couldn't find it on Lego, so I'm just using those great pieces, basically the silver version of these here. And then same thing with this little piece here. I did not have a printed piece like that, so I utilized a kind of a fan detail piece. It doesn't really matter what you put down in there, just as long as it looks somewhat correct. But this kind of shows this unit here. I did not, other than the printed piece that I did not have, I still did this per the mock. No change on any of that. It's a pretty neat little build for that, and it is its own thing, which made it nice for moving it back on the Frozen Empire version. My hooks for the tanks, where the tanks click into, nothing was modified with those. Those are still in the exact same spots. One thing I did change was this area right here. You guys can kind of see this like stair step. I did away with this, was it 1x8 or 1x6 tile, and I took these 1x1 bricks and the two tiles that are on top and underneath, and I scooched that forward into that position. That gave me some more room to extend the box and kind of get things positioned a little bit better. And nothing was changed in this area for holding the siren and the Mars light. None of that was changed, like I said. Biggest change up here was just getting rid of this stair step and actually moving this up front to giving the rack a flat front, basically. And like I said, that gave me some room. We did change this piece out right here for a 1x1 stud. No changes with any of that stuff there. I did change some of my my tiling and some of my plate work on the sides here, especially on the Afterlife version, because the ladder is now on this side, so I had to take everything that's on the opposite side and flip-flop it over, while still trying to keep the placement of where that antenna, that rear driver's side antenna, hooks onto. There's what holds the radar dish. And you guys can kind of see how that's applied on the back there. Now, like I said, mine is completely moved over a stud from that and is held a completely different way now, where it is hard mounted. It will not spin anymore. Tanks, no real change to the tanks. I did not have, in the green color here, I did not have the plate 2x2 circles in that color, so I did not include those in. I didn't have them in that color. The tank is still a decent length without those. No real issue. Still built them the same. Just minus those parts. This side, one little modification I actually did down where this, you guys can kind of see it on the screen there, there's a 1x2 plate right here. I changed that out for a 1x1 plate, and then a little piece. I'll have to dig one out and show you. And that's where I currently mount the front antenna. It gives it a nice place to hook onto, and it stays in place, and you're not having to tuck it underneath anything. My my box is detailed much different. I'm not using these little clip pieces that actually hold like the kind of these bumper guards or whatever this piece is. And you guys can tell from the Lego build, the back of the siren has an extended cone instead of the shorter cone. Mars Light is basically the same build as it was per Lego, I think. Can't remember how Lego did it exactly. So here, you guys can see the whole support for the 2 antennas and this dome. I redid all that in white, and I also shortened my domes. So I'm not using this this 1x4 brick anymore. I'm actually using 2 white circular plates just like this in place of that white piece to kind of shorten it. The dome was a little too tall. Just looking at pictures of the real thing and looking at this, this version seemed kind of tall, so I did shorten it. And I did have to order these parts in white because when I started this project I did not have anything like that in white. And you guys can kind of see how the antennas are built on there. These tanks are built per the mock, like I said, just changed out some of these gauges and some of these little holders for different colors and non-printed parts. You guys can kind of see how the rack sits on there. This gives you the position. I did not change how far forward or how far back this rack sits. It is sitting exactly how the mock has it. And then this is kind of how you build the radar dish. Mine is a significantly different build now. We'll go over that. And then you guys can kind of see how it's attached. The sniffers I am doing slightly different. I'm not mounting them on these modified plates with these studs anymore. Even on my more stock rack, I have that changed, but this is how the mock has you building them. Another side note is this red brick right here, this 1x2 with the 2 technicals in it. That should be a white piece. The actual car from the movies, from all the movies that had the sniffer, it is white. There's a lot of replica cars out there built, and they have painted this all red. It should not be red. It should be white. The whole housing should be white. It should just be the sniffer tubes themselves. That should be the only red part on that whole thing. So if you want to do your colors correctly, just do red on your sniffer pipes, and all this stuff should be white, or whatever you use for that should be white. Now the graded back on this is a little bit more correct than mine. I just don't like being able to see the Technic parts through that, so I ended up using just a blank white tile to block that off from view. And you guys can see how low the sniffers kind of sit right there. They should be up fairly high. And that's it. So that's it for the rack build. That's pretty much how it goes. Like I said, if I went too fast, feel free to pause it if you want to build it per the mock. But like I said, nothing wrong with this at all. Fantastic rack. It beats Legos by far. All I did was kind of go back and refine some things and make it a little bit more prototypical. So that's the rack. And you guys can kind of see I've already modified my sniffer on this one a little bit. We're doing kind of that raised tube. You guys can see the white housing as it should be. On this version, I ended up putting another 1x1 stud on top of that because it was still lacking some of the detail and it still wasn't up high enough. You guys can see that the sniffers sit up fairly high. This is as close as I could get to like a prototypical height. Instead of just using one of those one high, 4x4 bricks, round bricks, I use 2 of them plus 2 plates, and then the plate that I mounted that on is actually the same plate, the same modified plate that these vents are on. It's a square 2x2 with a stud in the middle, so that's actually what I'm using. And to help secure that to the car, I have one of these 4 long shafts that is running down the middle, and this actually sits down into the hole that's in that stud right there. So this, I start off with putting that in there, and then I kind of stack this on top of that, and that helps hold the whole base together. So the top is a little, I mean, it's pretty stiff. If you're not just blatantly knocking into it or whatever, it stays on there really nice. I'm not worried about it falling off. I mean, you guys can see, give it the old shake test pretty good there. Nothing's falling off, so. And you can still position them. Like I said, they're hard mounted, but they're positionable, so. Unlike this dish that is not positionable, so. For some of my base network in here, I'm gonna lay this out with these bricks that I have here, just that way you guys kind of see how the brick layout is. And actually, I made a little stand that can hold my phone now, so that way I can use both my hands. I just have to try to keep my work where it can be seen here. Let's see, yeah, that's at the front. And then that's right about there. So that's the brick layout right there of how this is laid out. The 4x4 open space right here is for this unit right here. This brick right here has a 2x4 tile on it, as you guys can see, and I'll just pop that off right now. So you guys can see that tile is covering that brick right there. With moving this box back, you guys can see it originally, like per the mock, it sat right about there. So we moved it back 2 studs and over a stud like that. So now I have a 1x4 plate that's right there. That is the new spot where that is located. Things do get kind of a little off with spacing, so I do have to use a 1x1 tile. You guys can see another 2x4 tile right there, a 1x6 tile right there, a 1x3 tile. Have a couple of 1x2 grate pieces on there. Still utilizing the 3. You guys can see those 3 1x2 modified plates with the center stud for holding that unit on. And then these grates are now held at their center point. Instead of being off to one side, they're held on the center, then they stay on there a little bit better. Now what we'll do is I'll kind of show you the bases of how I have that dome built. I'm using a modified brick, a 1x2 modified brick with 2 studs on the side. Utilizing a 1x4 plate that goes on top of that, and then a modified 1x2 plate with a center stud that goes on top like that. And then I'm using these little clamp pieces, 2 of them, those go on the side stud like that, and that's what the dish originally, the glass part of the dish originally connects to. You guys can see it there. You guys can see those two parts, and that just clicks into that, and that's exactly how that works. And then the center part, I used a modified 1x2 plate with curved edges, a 1x1 tile on one side, a 1x1 plate on the front, and then a 1x1 sloped tile on the front, and that kind of builds the shape of the middle part. And that I have centered up right on that stud, just like that. So now, if I take this off, take that off, click that on there like so, fold it up, and that's how I am building my new version, my solid version of the radar dish. Now, if you guys want to keep yours, where you can rotate it around, like I said, the mock did it very well on how it's on there. You can even take a 1x1 plate or a 1x1 tile and cover that stud. So that's not a big deal, and it still looks really cool. Works really well, so not any big deal there. And then, of course, the Technic piece that they're kind of using for the little receiver part on there. Now on the back here, I'll try to get both of these. In the shot. So there's where the original one is kind of mounted, right on the side there, right next to where you click in the hoses. And you guys can see now I have a 1x1 brick in there, and this is offset to one side. I'm still using a tile in there to kind of clean that up a bit, but that's my new hard mount for that. That gets it in the right position, it gets it mounted lower, and it just it fits the overall look a lot better. Let's see, I'll see if I can find what I'm using for that antenna piece. It's going to be a little hard to see because my gloves are black, but this is what I'm using right here. One of these modified plates. It's a 1x1 top down, holds from the top, goes down. And that's basically what I am using. You guys can see right there. So right next to it, so this whole area where this is happening, that was supposed to just be a 1x2 plate. So now it's a 1x1 plate with this modified plate, and then one of these little stud collar pieces, and that's what the antenna slips right over. Holds it in place. You can adjust it up and down to get the right height where it kind of arcs over the light bar and doesn't interfere with the light bar. And that's how I did that, guys. So you can see where I kind of gained some length here. Basically got a well, not basically. I did gain another set of studs. So where this little filler is right here, this 1x2 tile, everything from there moved forward one stud. So that gave me my pocket. It's a 2x2 pocket, and you guys can see it right on this rack right here. I have a 1x1 pocket where you can actually look down in, gives it some depth, and you can actually see the full depth of the sniffer stand now. And then you guys can kind of see my fan detail under there. You can literally use anything that looks cool, or if you just so happen to actually have the correct print. That is kind of a hard part to find. You cannot find it on Lego. You'd probably have to go to some other brick buying site and buy that particular part. But I had this fan piece and it looked pretty cool, so I decided to go with that on all the cars that have this unit on it. So, but yeah, by moving this up front and not having that stair step, that gave me a little bit more room in there to spread stuff out, and just gave the box some more room. This control box that sits there gave that some more room to sit in there. You guys can kind of see how I went about building this. Used a corner, it's like a modified 1x1 brick with 2 studs on one side, no studs on the other. And that gives me a place to plug this hose in on one side. That's a nice holding spot for that. And then used a 1x2 brick with the modified studs on the side, and then just a single 1x1 modified brick with 1 stud on the side, and then inserted my whips, kind of positioned them just right, and that gives me those like big chunky cords that kind of hang down off of there. So that was my upgrade for that. If I do remember correctly, the mock for the 1A was actually the one that used these claw pieces. These are the Lego claws for like you get in dragon sets. And that worked out pretty cool. You know, you face them towards each other and it looks like wires, but you don't really get like the messy hang down look from them. And I did kind of change the box up a little bit. I tried to build the box up, and I built this a little too high. So this is the new revised version of that right there, and it's perfect. So it's a nice height. I can do what I need to with that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the rack, guys. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take what I did on the Afterlife rack here, and I'm going to implement that on my original Ecto-1 rack, minus the changes with the ladder. Of course, the ladder is on the original side. You guys can see where that mounts. Something that I did have to change on this one was I wanted to keep that that little post that holds the rear antenna right there. I wanted to keep that in the same exact spot, but of course I have the ladder that has to attach right in that spot, and it's really tight with these tanks. So I ended up raising those up a whole plate to get those clearing the tank more, so I can fit the antenna underneath that. You guys can see those mounts are in line with the 1x6 tile that's in front of it. And on the original rack here, you can see those are actually one plate lower than the tile. So that was a modification that I had to make when mounting the ladder on the other side. Something that I kind of ran into. I'll show you. I can't remember the length for sure. But these are the cord pieces that I'm using. It's basically the same ones that you get with the Titanic set, only these ones are short. I think this is the shortest length that you can get from Lego. And these have been a lifesaver for all the projects. I've used these to modify the proton packs. I've used these to modify the gunner seat. I've used them to add detail on the rack, as you guys saw on that one. So these are a really, really nice piece to have. And they are available on Lego. That's where I got them from. All the parts I got for these cars I got strictly from Lego. I know it's a little bit more expensive and they don't have everything I need, but I try to stay pure and just buy from Lego whenever possible. But these are a really nice part, and they've helped me add a lot of stuff. So definitely, if you guys want to add some detail, look into getting those parts. And I think that's it for all of the rack modifications. I don't think I'm missing anything. Something else, like I said, I did change the how the hoses are mounted here. On the mock, they do not have these little gray collars on where the hoses actually slide onto. I found that the hoses were actually a little too tight and didn't, they were kind of hard to get up on there, and everything was just pulling. So I added those to get a little more length out of the hoses, so that way everything wasn't quite so tight and binding. That was really my only modification for that particular section. So that's it, guys. I think I touched on everything, kind of showed what I used for parts. Hopefully that kind of helps you out. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out, and I will gladly help it any way I can. Hopefully that kind of helped you guys if you want to do this version of the rack, or if you want to add a little bit more detail. Hopefully this video helps you either way. Really nice rack design straight off of the mock, though a lot better than what you get from the Lego set itself. You just lose some of the playability, like I said. Your motion features that the Lego set offers you don't really get with this. And then my more detailed version, it's even less, because then you don't get the rotating dish, and then the sniffers can't move quite as freely back and forth. But like I said, I find that to be a little bit better, because the sniffers on the Lego version seem like they move around a little bit too much. So that's why we started kind of hard mounting everything. It's still adjustable, and you can still position it, but it's not just going to float around all free and get out of alignment for what you want. So yeah, guys, anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully it was helpful, and until next time, take care.